Once again, good afternoon, friends, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. Welcome back, everyone. We've had our fill. Are you all right? Maraming salamat po. Without much ado, we shall now move to the third lecture for this advocacy conference. This third lecture is on dialogue with creation, the Religions for Peace, Philippines efforts and initiatives. This session will highlight the impactful work being done by various religious communities or faith-based organizations in fostering a meaningful relationship with creation through dialogue. Allow me to introduce our next guest lecturer. Our next speaker is the Director of International Relations and Programs at the University of Santo Tomas. With over 40 years of experience in academic development, she has held key positions such as Dean of the Graduate School and Assistant to Director for Academic Affairs and Research, and has led initiatives in research, curricular reforms, internationalization, and graduate education. She has also served as a consultant for the Commission on Higher Education and the DOST World Bank funded Science and Engineering Project. Beyond academia, she is deeply engaged in humanitarian work, serving as President of Religions for Peace Philippines and Chair of the Asia-Pacific Women of Faith Network. She has led multi-faith programs focused on mental health, trauma, healing, child protection, and preventing modern-day slavery in conflict areas of central Mindanao. Internationally, she has organized interfaith forums and represented the Women's Coordinating Council of Religions for Peace at global conferences. She holds a PhD in chemistry, specializing in bioorganic and environmental chemistry, with numerous publications in chemistry and peace studies. She was named UST's Outstanding Alumna during the Toro Awards in 2003 and awarded the title Dean Emeritus in 2023. Let us all give a warm round of applause to Dean Emeritus Professor Lilia J. Season, PhD.
Dalawin ka namin sa Quiapo, ha? Sige. Mayaman yung Quiapo. Maganda yung live streaming. Hindi lang sa pandemic, even before. Yan daw ang taga-suporta ng mga seminarians na.
Good afternoon to everyone. To my distinguished friends, Father Sebastian, nice to see you again. And our colleagues from the different interfaith groups and the faculty of the Institute of Religion. Thank you for inviting me here in your conference and to share what we have done in religious religions for peace in terms of dialogue for creation. So let me start by saying that in one of the activities of Religions for Peace, some decades back, on interreligious dialogue on climate change and biodiversity in Sri Lanka, the Sri Lanka Foundation organized a tour of northern Sri Lanka to speak to villagers about the experiences on climate change. The northern village has just come out of a 30-year war. In village after village, the visitors heard stories of how the climate was changing. Droughts, loss of crops and topsoil, salt coming up on the wells, reefs dying off, massive erosion on the coast, and flooding. There was a mixture of anxiety, confusion, and resignation among the resettled people. One might ask, will the climate instability drown their hopes for a peaceful and sustainable future? In its case, the villagers turned back to the temples and churches to assemble, to pray, to listen to scriptures, to follow fire rituals, and to sustain faith in the message of the religious leaders that all this suffering has a meaning. Religious leaders all over the world are faced with the vulnerability, impacts, cost, and human suffering which climate change brings down on the planet. In times of crisis, people turn to religious institutions and seek divine mercy and compassion for guidance, succor, and assistance. Religious institutions of the world find themselves at the forefront of climate change. So let me now show you some of the environmental threats to ecological integrity. Actually, globally, there are three issues on the environment that threatens the integrity of creation of the planet and of human flourishing. One is loss of biodiversity, two is climate change, and the third is the looming crisis on fresh water. So the food, water, and energy nexus and the biodiversity and ecosystem upon which they depend are closely intertwined and are fundamental to human existence. When it comes to climate change, 93.4% of the warming goes to the ocean. A recent study says that over the past century, global mean sea level has risen by 10 to 20 centimeters. This has caused devastating effects on coastal habitats, destructive erosion, flooding of wetlands, contamination of aquifers and agricultural soils, and lost habitat for fish, birds, and plants. When large storms hit land higher, sea levels mean bigger, more powerful storm surges that can strip away everything in their path. Hundreds of millions of people living in low-lying areas would be forced to abandon their homes and relocate. More dire estimates on the rising sea level include a complete meltdown of the Greenland ice sheet that will push sea levels to rise to 7 meters. Addressing climate change. One is mitigation of carbon dioxide, education, advocacy training, capacity building. Adaptation is looking for new sources of food, breakthroughs in molecular genetics, genome sequencing of rice varieties, and promoting resilient communities. So we have to look for some solutions through technology, the confluence of nature and technology for food security. And of course, we look at nature-based solutions like planting trees with best genetics that can rebuild our ecosystem. So reforest the earth with the offspring of old growth trees, because this will also sequester carbon dioxide. In fact, one of climate action that was agreed upon in COP is the greening of cities, raised to zero emission. And therefore, planting trees, whether in the rural areas, in the coastal areas, in the cities, and even where you cover the earth with plants, with trees, that is very important in mitigating climate change. All right. Our earth, our responsibility. Face for earth. Actually, this is a theme of Religions for Peace 10 Congress that was held in Vienna some years back. The Catholic Church teaching on ecology, climate change, and the care for creation is embodied in Pope Francis' encyclical Laudato Si, care for our common home. In the encyclical, the Gospel of Creation talks about the relationship of mutual responsibility between human beings and nature. The earth, it says, was here before us, and it has been given to us by our Creator. The Bible tells us to till and keep the garden of the world in Genesis. Reading the biblical text in its context with the appropriate hermeneutics, tilling refers to cultivating, plowing, or working, while keeping means caring, protecting, overseeing, and preserving. This, therefore, implies that each community can take from the boundaries so Religions for Peace made in 2 years' time government that they have. At least the women did some thing concrete. And then when it comes to the youth of Religions for Peace, so we had our youth representatives who did some pledges. Our faith, our responsibility. They recorded some video recordings about climate change and about their participation in the International Youth Network on what they do when it comes to climate change. They also organize community engagement to dialogue with the local barangays on how to mitigate climate change, in communicating with the youth, the volunteers of Religions for Peace, online campaign to promote the use of recyclable materials and to avoid using single-use plastic. So see, these were some of the initiatives of our youth. And then we also have the Youth National Chapter participating in the National Greening Program, the mangrove planting in Cavite. Our earth, our responsibility. So this small island in Cavite has been given to Religions for Peace for adoption of mangrove planting activities. Over 50 youth volunteers planting 500 mangroves, trees provided by the Cavite PENRO, the Cavite Environment and Natural Resource Office. In addition to that, there were pre-planting activities at the Tagaytay Ridge. Also, this is a project which is interfaith and involved a lot of the interfaith communities like the Silsila Movement, the Focolare, the Uni-Harmony Partners. Youth from these organizations, some 50 of them planted 100 Nara trees, also given by the Cavite PENRO for climate change mitigation. So, how do we encourage our youth in Religions for Peace? One is to have a disciplined lifestyle. That is responsible consumerism. Basically, We use 1.5 Earth's resources for consumerism of the whole, for the consumer requirement of the whole world. Meaning to say, we are using more resources than the Earth can regenerate itself. So, because we are wasteful, and because we buy things that we want, not only what we need. See, if you need only 2 pairs of shoes, but if you buy 5 or 10 pairs, that's one thing. And that is excessive consumerism. You are being irresponsible when it comes to that, because anything you buy will use the Earth's resource. So, responsible consumerism, we usually teach our youth about this thing. Second is their formation when it comes to environmental stewardship. And for the Catholic and Christian members of the youth sector, we talk about Laudato Si as their Bible when it comes to the environment. And then they also do advocacy, training, and capacity building, like replanting, like creating videos for online campaign, as well as in engaging communities. So this is also a matrix by Religions for Peace that gives us a climate justice response and strategies. So basically, climate change is due to release of high greenhouse gas emissions. This is carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide in the air. And they are the ones that create global warming. So, we need to educate the public and the clergy. Religions for Peace has also been very active in educating the clergy. So I think there were 2 times when I was invited to give a synopsis of what COPE is, the Conference of Parties. And I gave them the climate action that were agreed in COPE, what is being discussed in COPE. And that went into a series of lectures and the scientific basis for climate change and what the UNFPCC on Climate Convention says. So, and I think the clergy responded because I heard that there were some parishes who are now solarizing, and there were some congregations that were divesting from fossil fuels. So that is an action that is being taken once you have the knowledge of climate change and how to mitigate it. So education is very important. And I like talking to religious leaders. Why? Because they're influential, they have resources, they have followers. Because if you are able to convince them, then they are able to do something big. All right. On mitigation, well, less emissions, of course. We convert into non-renewable, or rather to renewable resource energy, more carbon conservation. When you say more carbon conservation, each of us can do something about it. Take public transport rather than private vehicles where you drive alone, or bring in some people into your car so that there are more people who are able to use your car. You reduce your carbon emissions that way. If you go shopping every weekend, reduce it to twice a month. Then you are also conserving your carbon. So in other words, as individuals, we can do a lot to reduce our carbon emission. All right. The other is advocacy, national and multilateral interreligious advocacy coordination, like what you are doing now. Theological review of man-divine obligations and nature conservation. Again, this is for the formation of the people, especially those who are involved in advocacy group and in the climate action. There are threats to food and water security. So, the answer there is through adaptation. And this requires some science. And this requires some promoting resilient communities and interreligious resilience projects like organic farming, soil conservation, water conservation. You can do this. And emergency humanitarian services. And the last one is conflict from climate threats. We saw that climate change can cause conflict. So preventative peace promotion, in other you prevent crisis and then promote inclusive peace through dialogue and through cooperation. These are approaches of religions for peace in mitigating climate change. All right. While we continue to educate our youth for ecological citizenship and engage them in developing environment-friendly communities, there are ecological problems of a scale that requires global consensus for confronting the deeper problems which cannot be resolved by unilateral actions on the part of individual countries or communities. For example, there is solid scientific evidence indicating that we are presently witnessing warming in the Earth's climate system. We already discussed that. The global efforts on climate change mitigation is embodied in the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change that commits state parties to reduce greenhouse gases emissions based on the premise that global warming exists and man-made carbon dioxide emissions have caused it. And after over 20 years of UN negotiations, the parties met in Paris in 2015 and agreed to achieve a legally binding and universal agreement on climate with the aim of keeping global warming below 2 degrees Celsius. COP21. All right. So COP21 reaffirmed the goal of limiting global temperature below 2 degrees Celsius, while urging efforts to limit the increase to 1.5 degrees. Establish binding commitment by all parties to make nationally determined contribution and to pursue domestic measures and achieve them. Why below 2 degrees Celsius? In other words, the present or the pre-industrial global climate should not increase to more than 1.5 degrees. Why? Because this is a scientific graph. All right. You see the line there, cross, that is 2 degrees centigrade. Below that line, you see more yellow and less red shadings, right? Because these shadings refer to extreme weather events. They risk to unique and threatened species. So below 2 degrees, you still have yellow, very mild. But you are already getting some extreme weather events, which we have experienced in Yolanda. If you go above 2 degrees, everything becomes red. What does that mean? Perhaps every month you will get an extreme weather event. So in other words, the occurrence of risk and extreme weather conditions will take place if the global temperature rises more than 2 degrees centigrade. Despite the Paris Agreement to limit the increase in global temperature to 1.5, many of the nations, 195 of them, who made commitments to reduce their carbon dioxide emission, are not on track. In fact, we are already on COP29 in November that will take place in Azerbaijan. It's just a matter of reiterating what was agreed upon in Paris in 2015, because the agreement in Paris is legally binding. Now, what do you mean by COP21 in Paris, for the first time in 20 years, aimed to achieve a legally binding and universal agreement on climate with the aim of keeping it at 2 degrees centigrade. The legal binding commitment from all 195 countries to make strong carbon cutting plan every 5 years, and a transparency agreement on the same terms for all nations, rich or poor. So what did the Philippines, or rather, what did the Philippines commit in the Paris Agreement? That the Philippines intends to undertake greenhouse gas emission reduction of about 70% by 2030 relative to its business as usual, BAU, scenario of 2030, conditional on the extent of financial resources, including technology development and transfer, and capacity building that will be made available to the Philippines. So even these commitments are conditional. And that is the reason why countries are not able to keep up their commitments. And if you look at the track on carbon on the increase in temperature now, we are moving into an increase of 2.7 degrees centigrade by 2050. If the different parties will not honor their commitment. And of course, we can go back to the picture that emerges from these figures is one where, in general, developed countries and major emerging economy nations lead on total carbon dioxide emission. Of course, the developed countries, they have used a lot of fossil fuel, they have used a lot of energy, they have emitted a lot of TFC in the environment. They were the ones who polluted the earth, actually. And the developing nations, well, there is some growth rate of carbon dioxide emissions, but obviously there is an uneven contribution to the climate problem at the which is the core of the challenge the world community faces in finding effective solutions and equitable solutions. Actually, the developed countries pledge how many billions, 100 billions of dollars to help the developing countries cope with climate change. There is what you call a loss and damage fund in that COP meetings that should be made available to the countries that are most affected by climate change, and these are the poorer countries. And these poorer countries are not even the contributors to climate change, and yet they are the ones who are very vulnerable to it. So there is a pledge to help them. Will this materialize? It's a big contention, because you know the geopolitics that is taking place in the whole world. And if you're going to attend the COP meetings, next time it will be in Azerbaijan in November, there are more lobbyists of fossil fuels than participants from the different agencies. So that's it. In view of the potential devastation of the impact of climate change, there is a clarion call for humanity to learn to work collectively together as one community. So as Koji Omi, founder of SNT Society Forum, puts it, today's problems are global and cannot be solved by any single country or by scientists alone. Boundaries between nations are merely lines on a map. Nature makes no such distinctions. So we think of ourselves as members of humankind, whose very existence will be at risk if we not only live in accordance with the principles of Mother Nature. So what can faith-based organizations do? I came across this editorial of The Tablet. It's a Catholic magazine in UK, which I read. There is a real need for all who claim to speak in the name of the common good including Christian churches and other faith communities, to create a political environment in which anything less than full compliance with the Paris Agreement is unthinkable. That means constantly monitoring what governments do, as well as influencing leaders of environmentally sensitive industries. It means speaking out and lobbying where necessary and not being afraid of controversy. It also means developing the right expertise so that what they say is well-founded and not easily fobbed off. No national church has risen adequately to this challenge. Unless they do, if the Paris process eventually fails, they will share responsibility for that failure. So what about us individual Christians? What can we do? If we want humanity to flourish, we must learn to recognize the need for change of lifestyle, production, and consumption patterns in order to combat warming, or at least the human causes which produce or aggravate it. Christian spirituality offers a growth and development modality marked by moderation and the capacity to be happy with little. Mahatma Gandhi once put it, "The earth has enough resources to meet our needs, but not our wants." Thank you very much.
Once again, thank you. Thank you po, Dean Lilian Season for a very engaging, challenging presentation. Dean Season set the context for our discussion today. The talk highlighted, if I may please give a synthesis of your presentation, ma'am. The talk highlighted the critical role of interfaith dialogue, of course, in addressing the growing environmental threats to our planet, particularly climate change. Climate change not only disrupts ecosystems, but also disproportionately affects the vulnerable communities, making, of course, the need for collective action even more urgent. Dean Season emphasized that Religions for Peace has been at the forefront of initiatives that unite diverse faith communities in the call for environmental stewardship. Through the Religions for Peace, projects are spearheaded that focus on sustainable practices. In fact, a while back, Dean Season named numerous sustainable practices that I think all of us may take action doing. Advocacy against environmental degradation, and of course mobilizing faith-based communities to act as caretakers of the earth. Ma'am, your extensive work on dialogue with creation is truly commendable. And so we thank you deeply for your presence today and for that very engaging lecture. Let's give please another warm round of applause for Dean Emeritus Professor Lilian Season, PhD. We now open the floor for questions. Again, if you have a question, please raise your hand. Once you get acknowledged, approach the mic stand. Say your name, your affiliation, and your question, or maybe insight. We now open the floor for such. Anyone would like to begin? Yes, we have. Yes, please. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kim from Provincia Guangdong College. It has been highlighted that we can begin to care for the environment through our local community. And as a youth,
Could you, maybe we could adjust the microphone? Could we make it, yes, up the volume? Thank you. Or maybe you could use another microphone. Thank you.
Good afternoon again, everyone. I'm Gail from Fubangshan Guangming College. So it has been highlighted that we can begin to take care of the environment through our local communities. And as a youth, it's very crucial for us to protect the environment as it directly impacts the future of our generation. Could you give us an advice on how we as young people can inspire our communities to advocate for ecological sustainability and peace?
From your wealth of experience, Dean, I think this young lady is asking what can young people do to join in this cause?
Well, you have to get down into the community because there has to be some collective conversation and shared scenarios. It is important that people who know about the basis for climate change talk to people at the ground level because they themselves can do a lot. You can talk about consumerism, you can talk about garbage disposal, you can talk because again garbage is one of the culprits in the world, that's why we're also getting this. Then we can talk about more healthy options in terms of food. In fact, remember, beef is one of the most polluting or most contributing carbon dioxide in the air, beef production. So if you are a beef eater, I suggest you do something about it. Okay? Yeah, I mean, these are, you learn how to do things if you know. So knowledge is very important. And I think the role of the youth and the role of the educated people is to bring down that knowledge and ground it.
Thank you so much.
I will just share. Actually, in Guangming College, we do vegetarian eating.
Yes,
So I
yes.
think it's very good. It's a very good way to also advocate for sustainability since we do practice vegetarian in our school. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
for this.
We have a long way to go. We just had beef during lunch.
In fact, in one of the meetings of Religions for Peace that was held, I think, in New York, they all served us plant-based food. And even in Germany, I think, we attended plant-based food. Well, initially it was okay, but I realized that after 1 or 2 days, the participants were looking for meat. They were eating in restaurants, they were not operating. So it really takes a lot of educating people on this. And I think our Kobangshan colleagues here, they are very good at plant-based. In fact, I suggest you eat in the restaurant there. It's like eating meat.
Yes.
Vegetarian.
Thank you po. Thank you very much. Thank you to our friends. Yes po. Anyone else would like to?
The lady.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Please.
Magandang hapon po. Thank you, Dean Emeritus Lilian Season. We are really so much enlightened with your talk on the ecological environment. And as you go through your talk, we really have that feeling, oh my God, this is really what is happening to the world now. And the call really is very urgent. We, as catechists of the Diocese of San Pablo, specifically District 1, and we here right now, we are currently enrolled in religious education course at Colegio de Letran, Calamba. We are with our professor here, Professor Yolanda Lazo. And we are so happy that we have our classes here right now. We are so happy that we have this opportune time. Since this morning, We've been learning so much and come up with this question to ourselves. How do we act now? As you put that emphasis on education and its role on how to make conservation and preservation of this continuously degrading environment. The call is really urgent. So at our end as catechists, we really value that call since we have our role in our classrooms as we are really tasked to teach students in public schools primarily and have the sharing and education on how to value the environment in which we live in. This environment or our earth will provide our needs. And most likely, we have really to help out, to support, and to determine our role, even in our simplest way of doing it as a student, like what you have said a while ago, trying to have a paradigm shift on our consumerism, especially in our food desire or what we would like to satisfy our wants, no longer our needs, but our wants, and thereby contributing all the more to the degradation or the overly use of resources of the earth. As catechists, and it so happens that you are also involved in stewardship, and I am really so happy that since this morning we've been speaking of the ecology of the heart, the stewardship of unity, the stewardship of peace, stewardship of environment, stewardship of creation, stewardship of earth. And we have actually trying to build up that desire to continuously help out in expanding stewardship now, primarily to give a primordial focus on stewardship of environment. Because we realize on this third talk, guys, that the call for environment preservation is really very urgent, especially for the future generation. The scenario is so green. We really fear what will happen in the future, which at present we have been experiencing already. So, for catechists, we will stop learning or educating ourselves to have more to share, especially to the youth, that will be our future leaders, that will try to bring this country, this earth, towards the love of creation of God. Thank you so much, po.
Somehow it motivated some of you to do something about it. But there's one thing I recommend that you encourage your students. Plant trees. You cover the city, you cover the town, you cover the barrio, green. Because it is these plants that will absorb carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide sequestration can come through the forest, but our forests are being denuded, right? So there is no plants to absorb the carbon dioxide that is released. So plant trees everywhere. Keep the ground green, because that is one of the important activity that can mitigate climate change and absorb the carbon dioxide that is being emitted. Reforest.
Thank you po. Salamat. We will take that to heart. Plant trees. Yes, please, ma'am.
Reverend Era, Doc Lilian, I'm just curious. There are promises,
Oh, thank you very much.
yes, but are there measures to punish them if they cannot deliver their promises? Or those are words?
Other
I'm asking,
those
yeah, those those community people, those who are behind at home,
21.
those who promise to help, especially developing countries and victims of environmental degradation, are there measures that if they're not able to deliver their promises, their help, their support?
Our government, I do not know, and I doubt. Because there has always been changing people and changing. And as you see, there is a premise in the commitment of the Philippines. It is premise on available technology. It is premise on available financial resources. It is premise on international help. So, who monitors that? I doubt there is somebody, body that is monitoring the commitment of our country. But I'm not really worried if we are not able to meet our commitment, because the Philippines, that's just very small. It doesn't really affect climate change. It is the big countries, the United States, China. These are the ones that are really releasing all this and affecting the world in terms of climate change. But the smaller countries, not much. So maybe if the Philippines cannot meet its obligation, it will really not have any effect on the climate. Yeah, they have agreement, they're binding agreement, but this binding agreement keeps on being screwed through the years. That's why from 2015, we are now in 2024, COP29, still they're talking about these climate actions that have not been achieved. Yeah, because there's politics in it. There are big business groups that are interfering and lobbying against it. So it's really, I mean, it's very depressing, and I do not have much hope in it. But they keep on meeting, they keep on talking. Maybe once they really feel the effect of climate change, that's the only time that they will. But big business is really not helping much. And before they already agreed to move out of fossil fuels, and then after COP25, I think they again went into reducing the move towards fossil fuels. So they are now again going into supporting some fossil fuels. So that's what the world politics is, and that is why we need to do something at our level.
Thank you very much. Thank you, ma'am, for the question. Reverend. Yes, please, Father. Father.
Hello. Hello.
Hello po, Father. Good afternoon.
Ma'am Lilian, salamat po. When you named the three emergencies or three big problems, I was thinking in advance, I hope that the problem of the soil will be mentioned also. But you did mention the water,
Yeah.
climate change, and the first one,
Biodiversity.
biodiversity. But I'm so happy that without doubt, you ask us to plant, to green the land, exactly, and really to sequester the carbon dioxide. Because I'm imagining CO2. When I heard the line you said that CO2 is polluting the world, but then I imagine CO2 actually O2, oxygen, and carbon actually is my friend because every day I eat carbohydrates. And then if I bring down the carbon to the soil, it's black carbon. It's fertilizer. It's only when it's in the atmosphere that we don't want it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, Bill Gates is creating some beef out of carbon dioxide.
But Father, before you can make that carbon black through soil, it takes millions of years.
That's true, but actually, for the catechists, I would like say something that I realized lately only. C for catechist, it's called composting. Because we are Colombans, and then when I went to our compost area, I was, it's what I saw is basura. And basura is very smelly.
Yeah.
And I wanted to plant something, but I couldn't plant because there was a sack, put it with soil, and then plant alubate, my first plant there, you know. But now, back to the soil. I'm now into feeding the soil so that the soil can feed us. It's also a real problem to look at because I heard if we delay on securing the soil, maybe time will come, we will plant, we want to plant, but nothing will grow. So,
Because soil is being eroded.
very much so.
And it goes to the river, it's silted. See, the loss of topsoil is actually due to deforestation also. When you remove the trees in the forest, there is no roots that will hold the water. So what happens is that water will start cascading fast,
Yes.
and it will bring with it the topsoil.
That's right. And finally, again for C, composting for the catechist, no? I would invite them also to do composting because the basura from the kitchen is nitrogen, and it's one ingredient for doing composting.
Sure.
You need the carbon, which is the brown leaves and the brown carton, etc., and just mix it with water and then air by mixing it. Then you have a nice, fragrant compost rather than the smelly carbon dioxide fuming there and then contributing to climate change. So sequester it down. Carbon is our friend if we do it that way. Thank you.
So actually, those are nature-based solutions, Father. And I think people in the provinces are very good at this because they are more, they're closer to nature. And especially the indigenous people.
Okay. Maraming salamat po. Thank you, Father, for the question. Yes, I think we have two more. Two gentlemen raised their hands a while back. Yes, please. I'm sorry. Yes.
Magandang hapon po kay Mike Quiros. I'm affiliated with the Silsila. Well, kararating ko lang hindi pa ako pero sa mga narinig ko sa mga sinasabi nyo, I was just reminded of this a research project that was funded by Japan that was conducted by the Food and Agriculture Organization, where I used to work. And then I think they talk about the multiple roles of agriculture. Multiple roles, meaning to say
The role of
agriculture.
agriculture.
Yeah, kasi you've been talking about the planting, forestry, and everything. I mean, all of this is also agriculture in the broadest sense of the word, right? So, meron doon na they conducted different case studies across the globe, Africa, Latin America, and even Asia. Pagkatapos, and then I think they tried to argue that agriculture has a very strong potential role in, of course, promoting food security, poverty alleviation, environmental degradation mitigation, carbon sequestration, promoting tourism, cultural cohesion, and even peace. So I was thinking maybe from an interreligious point of view, siguro, I mean, it'll be good to see Muslims and Christians and other
Sir, could you speak closer to the
and
microphone?
other followers of Christians denominations planting together, working together, doing something beautiful for one another, and even for God. So I just want to ask your opinion on this about the agricultural sector. Kasi parang, I was reminded of that when I was hearing all of your talk. Yeah, it's really more of what's your comment on that?
Well, I think agriculture is very important because our food security relies heavily on it. But agriculture can also be a culprit to climate change. For example, rice paddies. They also bring out a lot of methane that affects climate change. That is why they say the more sustainable agricultural practices are those in the rice terraces, where the water comes down through gravity. Because if the water stays there in your rice paddies, methane gas is generated. That's why that's not a sustainable agriculture. But science now has a lot of has made breakthroughs in terms of food security, especially in terms of genomics. So it's a matter now of bringing that technology accessible even to our farmers.
Tomorrow.
I mean, sustainable agriculture is very important. Sustainable agriculture not only in terms of rice, wheat, corn, but also in terms of animal husbandry. It's very important because there are some practices that are also contributing to climate change. And we need to review and look into more sustainable practices for agriculture.
Thank you very much, Ating Season. Yes, please, Sir Lian, I think you'd like to also raise your question from the Institute of Religion. Yes, please.
Good afternoon, ma'am. I just want to ask, and I'm interested, what is COP doing transportation policies? And as you know, in developing countries, one of the greatest pollutants that we have here are the cars. And here in the Philippines, we know also that we are the dump site of car production. And is there a policy that the COP is implementing, and what sanctions are we implementing regarding this for those big car producers and manufacturers that they continuously bring in cars here in the Philippines and in other developing countries? And considering also that we in the developing countries, because our transportation is very much terrible, so we all have this consciousness of wanting to own a car rather than opting for walking or biking. And right now, not only cars, but we're flooded with motorcycles.
I know that in other countries, they're moving into electric cars already and moving away from fossil fuel-based cars. And there are also certain moves in countries like Germany and other European countries where the bicycle becomes a mode of transportation. So going from one town to another, they take bicycles, and they have already paved a lot of bicycle lanes to use that. In the Philippines, I do not know, well, maybe some of you might know, especially those who are in the business, on the policy when it comes to cars, but even the jeepney, they cannot resolve the problem on the jeepney. The motorcycles, they're global. You go to Vietnam, you go to Taiwan, you see all these motorcycles all around. See, because they're faster when it comes to traffic, but they're not also that efficient. Now, you go to constructing mass transport so that people will not use cars anymore. But it seems that that is not possible in Metro Manila. Well, they are creating now the underground, even the LRT. See, so for example, will I use the LRT coming to UST? By the time I get to UST, probably I already am smelly. So it's so difficult really to take the public transport here in our country. That's why they try to get their own cars and vehicles that create the traffic. The problem is, even polluting transport systems are applying in the Metro Manila area. How do they stop the traffic? I don't think I can see in our politicians any political will to create a mass transport system that will be effective. In Hong Kong, for example, they have a very effective mass transport system. In Japan, see, very seldom did you see a Japanese selling a car. And I don't see that happening in our town. Well, I'm sorry if I'm very optimistic. I've reached this age and I've seen through life, and I do not know whether life is better now or when I was 15 years old. I think it was better when I was 15 years old.
Thank you, Dean Season. I think that's the last that we can accommodate at this point. So once again, let's give a warm round of applause to Dean Emeritus Professor Lillian Season. Ma'am, Dean, we appreciate your presentation, of course, your extensive knowledge, experience on this topic, dialogue with creation. Again, is truly commendable. I think what I got during this open forum is that our actions should really be proportionate to the emergency that there is. There is a climate emergency, so we have to act proportionate to that. That we must take collective and individual actions to save our planet. So, maraming salamat po, Dean Season, for this very engaging and enriching presentation lecture. Of course, we would like to express right now our gratitude to our distinguished guest lecturer by presenting a certificate of appreciation and our university token. Again, please join us on stage. Reverend Father Ermito Desagon, OP, SSL, Director of the Institute of Religion, and Associate Professor Alan Basas, Assistant Director of the Institute of Religion of the University, and Professor Joel Sagot, Director of the Center for Theology, Religious Studies, and Ethics, to present to Dean Season a certificate and token. Allow me to read the citation. Certificate of Appreciation is presented to Dean Emeritus Professor Lillian J. Season, PhD. In sincere appreciation and grateful acknowledgement for her invaluable contribution as plenary speaker on the topic Religions for Peace Philippines, Efforts and Initiatives toward Dialogue with Creation during the Advocacy Conference in celebration of the 2024 UN International Day of Peace with the theme Together We Dream, Hope and Act, Educating Toward Dialogue with Creation and Peacebuilding, held on the 20th of September 2024 from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the George SKT Function Hall, 4th floor, Buenaventura Garcia Paredes, OP Building, University of Santo Tomas, Manila, Philippines, signed by Assistant Professor Froilan Alipao, Director of UST Simbahayan, Professor Joel Sagot, Director of Center for Theology, Religious Studies and Ethics, Father Ermito Desagon, Director of the Institute of Religion, and Reverend Father Pablo Tiong, Vice Rector of Religious Affairs, University of Santo Tomas. Again, thank you very much, Dean Lillian Season. Moving forward in our program is a very important panel discussion on integral ecology and education, exploring how these two fields intersect to create sustainable solutions for our planet. This session will be moderated by Professor Joan Christine T. Bagaypo, PhD. Professor Bagaypo is an affiliate faculty of the UST Institute of Religion. She likewise serves as consultant for the CBCP Episcopal Commission on Indigenous Peoples. May I now invite Professor Bagaypo to join us, please, on stage. Thank you.
Magandang hapon po sa lahat. Good afternoon, everyone. This afternoon's panel discussion takes inspiration from the powerful lecture, engaging lecture of our Dean Emeritus, Professor Dr. Lilian Sison, and of course, this morning's session. It hopes to look into the crucial intersection between integral ecology and education. Integral ecology recognizes the interconnectedness of all things. It offers a framework for sustainability as we understand our place in the universe and our responsibilities towards caring for our common home. And education as a cornerstone for global development helps us in shaping our values and attitudes towards caring for our common home. This afternoon's esteemed members of the panel of discussion bring forth with them rich wealth, a wealth of experience and expertise to this discussion. So without much ado, let me introduce to you our members of the panel of discussion one by one. Our dear panelists, as I call your name, please come up front, and our lovely usher and usherettes would lead you to your seats. Let me begin with a registered chemist, a member of the Board of Directors of Zero Waste International Alliance, a member of the Board of Trustees of Global Alliance for Incinerators Alternatives, a founding member of the Break Free from Plastic movement, and currently the chairman of Mother Earth Foundation, Ms. Sonia Mendoza. Magandang hapon po. Another member of the panel is a faculty member from the UST Institute of Religion. She is also a member of Mother Earth Foundation, a member of the Secretariat of Laudato Si Movement Pilipinas, and the radio program host of Habi ng Manilikha, the ecology program of Radio Maria Philippines. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, Associate Professor Dr. Maria Sanita Kilatan. Another member of the panel is a pastor from the United Church of Christ in the Philippines, assigned at the UCCP Paradahan, Tanza, Cavite. He is a member of the Justice, Peace, and Human Rights Committee of Lowland Cavite South Manila Conference and the longtime co-convener of Manila Church People Ecumenical Fellowship. Mga kaibigan, Reverend Pastor Alvaro Centurias. Joining the panel is an architect by profession. She is the Area Communication Director of the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints in the Philippines. She is an active interreligious dialogue advocate as she serves as the Deputy Secretary General of Religions for Peace Philippines, a board member of the Asian Conference of Religions for Peace, and of the Asia Pacific Women of Faith Network, and a member of Uni-Harmony Partners Manila, Ms. Heidi Fajardo. And we have a priest of the Iglesia Filipina Independiente under the Diocese of Greater Manila. She serves as mission priest of Misyon ng Banal na Cruz, Cruz ng Ligas in Quezon City. And she was a former program staff at the National Council of Churches in the Philippines, working on ecology and environment protection program, Reverend Eravilia Maga Cabillas. All right. Allow me to transfer to my seat now as we begin our conversation. Test the microphone. Test mic. Can you test your microphones?
Test mic.
Hello. Is it working?
Hello.
Mic test.
Mic test. Mic test.
All right. So let's begin our conversation. Here's the drill. I'll throw a question. All of you perhaps would like to answer briefly, creatively, the question. Okay po? First question, let's begin with your personal journey and inspiration. No? What led you to the advocacy? What led you to this environmental, societal change advocacy? Sino po ang pwedeng magsimula? Siguro si Miss Sonia because she's smiling lovely at me this afternoon. Magandang hapon po. What led you to the advocacy?
Magandang hapon. Isang makakaligasang hapon po sa lahat. Yung Mother Earth Foundation po, yung aming naging focus talaga is yung proper management of your waste, yung tinatapon natin. Kasi 3 linggong hindi pumunta sa aming village yung collection ng basura, no? So nakasabit na sa mga puno yung mga basura namin. And 5 housewives in our village first organized Mother Earth na gawin yung ginagawa ng aming mga guru sa Zero Waste, si Dr. Malaypay at si Manang Sabas, na segregate your biodegradable and non-biodegradable, compost it, so I like the composting kanina, and then recycle the recyclables. So konti na lang yung dapat kuhanin ng basura.
Maraming salamat po. Perhaps, if not all, most of us can relate, no? Yung mga basurang nakasabit, hindi nakokolekta ng ating mga basurero. And we have this practice na isegregate daw po, no? Pero pagdating doon sa basurahan ay sama-sama. Thank you, Miss Sonia, for that sharing. Yes, Pastor. Pwede kayo na po? Okay. The gentleman pastor. Sige po.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Al Centurias. I used to live in Cotabato, and I would travel to Cotabato City from Midsayap, which is about 50 kilometers away. And along the way, there is this area which is a low-level area which gets flooded, during the rainy days. And so I thought maybe something can be done about the mountains in Cotabato. If we can plant trees up there, then perhaps we can minimize the amount of water that goes down. Anyway, we bought some piece of land earlier, and so what we did was just to intensify the planting of trees, lawaan trees, mahogany trees, and nara trees, and all the other trees that could capture the carbon capture and prevent the flooding below. And this is the reason why I kind of look to that as my inspiration for getting involved into this kind of advocacy.
Advocacy and mission, no?
And mission, yes.
Bahagi na ng mission. Salamat po.
Yes po.
Like Dr. Season's advice to everyone here in the Assembly, plant trees.
Yes.
Ayan. Thank you po. Pastor Era?
Hello? Hello? Mayong gabi. Mayong gahapon.
Mayong hapon.
Mayong hapon.
Bisaya po for
Bisaya,
magandang
I'm
hapon.
from Bisaya. I'm from Cebu. Well, I'm now in Manila as my church assignment is here. Actually, my turning point to become an advocate for Mother Earth is when I became a staff of the National Council of Churches in the Philippines, and I happened to be the program staff for the education and training. So I wrote modules for children, for youth, for women and clergy. Then my awareness really increased, and then I realized that Mother Earth is our only home. We have no other place to live. Either there are claims that 50 to 20 years we can live or we can visit Mars or we can live whatever planet up there, but there's only one place that we can fully live, we can fully exist, and we can fully be humans, and that is Mother Earth.
Salamat po. So the desire started from your work assignment, no? So as program staff, protecting the environment. Thank you. Yes po, Architect Heidi, Sister Heidi.
Okay, so prior to my work in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints as a communication director, and this has been my calling in the church. That's why I came to be, in this position. I was actually an architect by profession. I was a practicing architect, so what really interested me about the environment was the green building initiatives and the sustainable building designs. So for me, that was very interesting because of the fact that the earth is really not being taken care of very well by our people. we need to make sure that we adopt these green measures so that we can still have a future for the generations that will come. So these are the things that brought me into my love for caring for the earth and the environment.
Yeah, it's really important also we have urban planners in the house, right? To also look into this advocacy and mission. Okay, yes, Miss Julie.
For me, actually it started since childhood. I was affected by the problem of waste. And to make the long story short, when I was here in UST, I was involved in a project with EdTech.
EdTech is Educational Technology Center. Okay.
And the project was, I proposed a project, Usapang Basura, 3 R's, Kaya Ba ng Pinoy? It's a documentary. And when I was doing the project, I interviewed Dr. Arlen Ancheta. And she's also here with, she's a professor at UST. And through her, I learned about Mother Earth Foundation. And that started my advocacy. It's more on, it started as an individual effort, but as individual, it's not enough. You need an organization or a community that has the same mission and vision. So it was providential that I met Mother Earth Foundation, and I learned a lot from Mother Earth. Then when Pope Francis wrote the encyclical Laudato Si, and then there's a group, Global Catholic Climate Movement, I met Father John Laydon, and my meeting with him eventually led me also to Laudato Si movement, the new name of the Global Catholic Climate Movement.
Alright, maraming salamat. It's really also important to have a community para hindi tayo nag-iisa lang in our vision. I remember po, let me just share this story very quickly. I was invited to host the anniversary of Mother Earth Foundation, and I brought with me a mineral water bottle, no? Tapos tuwa pa ako naglalakad sa aisle with that water bottle. And then, hi, I am the host of this program. Tapos sabi ni Ma'am Junie, Mare, yung bote mo. No? That's why po, if you noticed in our communication, we ask everyone to bring sari-sariling tumbler. No? At may nakikita akong mga water bottle. At unti-unti na po nilang tinatago. Salamat po. Okay. Alright. Okay. Next question tayo po. No? So we introduced you po kanina doing all these advocacy works, mission works sa iba't ibang organizations actually, no? Church and civic organizations. Ang susunod po nating tanong, we would be very happy to hear your stories briefly on this. What have you been doing? No? Mga collaborative efforts, partnerships in our pursuit and in our cause for environmental change. Yes po, sige po.
Okay. So yung Mother Earth Foundation, numpisahan namin kasi we are best known for our community-based zero waste approach to environment issues, no? We are addressing waste problems, toxic pollution, climate change, and other environmental justice issues and health. So, ang aming ginagawa ngayon na salamat naman at naging umuunlad na is the Zero Waste Program. Zero waste does not mean for us now na walang waste because of the problematic packaging from the manufacturers and everything. Ang aming zero waste ay walang aksaya. So, hindi dapat mag-aksaya ng anything, no? Tubig, pagkain, lahat ng ginagamit natin. So, we have our programs. We have the Zero Waste Academy. We have the Zero Waste cities and municipalities. We have the organics. Taking care of our organic waste because as the Dean mentioned before, the methane production, if we allow our food waste to go into the landfill, we will have methane production which is 80% more potent than carbon dioxide in creating greenhouse gas. which is causing global warming and climate change. Then we have the movement building, wherein we organize the waste workers and waste pickers. For us to say they are really the unsung heroes for the environment. So we organize them, and now we have more than 10 organizations, and they have organized the Philippine National Waste Workers Alliance. And they had 10 demands. When we gathered them, we had consultations, and then now they have the Magna Carta of waste workers. It's now a bill in the Senate, sponsored by Senator Lawrence. Now, the zero waste cities and communities, we built models of zero waste communities. Our first zero waste model barangay was Barangay Fort Bonifacio in Taguig, no? And then we have a zero waste model city, the city of San Fernando in Pampanga. It has the highest diversion rate, waste diversion rate in the Philippines, probably in Asia. It has 91% waste diversion rate. It means only 9% of the waste goes to the landfill. 91% is addressed. It has source segregation at source. We have house-to-house campaign, madugo yun. So everybody in that city, there are 35 barangays, house-to-house campaign, each house segregates the waste at source. That is the basic of proper waste management. We are the implementors of RA 9003. It's mentioned in the ecological solid waste management. So waste segregation at source is the basic. So your compost is not at risk of being contaminated because you segregate it at source. So the recyclables are not also contaminated with food waste. So you sell it at a better price. And the remaining residual waste are the only ones to be collected by the city. So we are now doing the whole island of Siquijor. They have province-wide plastic ordinance. No plastic bags. And you'll be surprised when you go there, the soft drinks are in bottles. So it's possible, no? Pwede pala.
Wala na po yung mga 1.5 in plastic bottles.
And then we are also doing Malabon and Navotas in the National Capital Region. So they're on the road to zero waste. And we have Apo Barangay Apo Island in Negros Oriental and Dawin. So hopefully they are on the road to zero waste.
And hopefully more cities will be enjoined to collaborate.
You will be surprised that those in the marginalized communities, they really follow better.
Sabi yung challenge, no?
Sabi kasi nila ang basura marami because of the marginalized communities. I always refute that. Wala na nga silang pera pambili, sila pa yung magbabasura.
Yeah.
Diba? They reuse and reuse and repair and repair. Hindi silang cause ng maraming basura. I think that those with better living conditions, sila yung bili ng bili and then throw away mentality.
Yeah, that's a powerful statement. Ano po, ano? Wala na nga ang pambili, sila pa ba ang cause ng mga basura natin? Just show of hands po from the audience. What cities do you reside in? Yun ba inyong mga syudad ay merong plastic campaign? Plastic management campaign?
Plastic ordinance.
Plastic ordinance? Yes po. Sir Eugene, from where? Marikina. Yes po, Miss.
Malabon, but up to now, lang yung naggrabe yung flood. Sorry to say that. Tapos nag-ikot ako after that flood, lahat ng corner, puro basura. Sorry to say that.
So naglabasan para mas madali siguro linisan, but there's a campaign for Malabon. Okay? Yes po. Quezon City, yes. No, I'm from Quezon City also, so wala na tayong plastic. Yes po, ma'am. Yeah, you're from San Pedro, Laguna. Okay. Yes, you're from Santa Rosa, Laguna. Alright, no? So, there's hope. Sabi nga ni Dean, maging optimist tayo. Alright, thank you, Dean, Miss Sonia.
Tita Sonia, you forgot about the zero waste stores. They might be interested.
Yeah, that's the Plastic Free Philippines. We partner with sari-sari stores and meron kaming turo at tingi. No?
Turo at tingi.
So you bring your own container, tapos bibilhin mo yung kailangan mo. So you reduce the use of sachets. These are not recyclable and not biodegradable. They're all in the ocean and in the land, on the land. And plastic bags also, because in the turo at tingi, you bring your container and you get your daily needs from there. Rice, your condiments like soy sauce, suka, patis, and then your detergent, the shampoo. And actually, it's cheaper. Yung sinasabi nilang the sachets are pro-poor is not true. That is advertising for the manufacturer.
Yes, thank you so much. No, maraming salamat. Miss Heidi, siguro.
So what I did was to look at our organization and see measures that we have done to help the environment. So I've listed some that focus on our buildings because we have so many buildings globally, and some of what our members have done. And so some of these are for the buildings. We have incorporated green building initiatives, just like what I said earlier. Almost all of our buildings have the certification or leadership in energy and environment. So that's what you call the LEED certification. This assures us that there's building efficiency, and this reduces environmental impacts. Another thing is that we adapt our design to local needs. So yung design sa ibang country is different from the design to our country, because we have to consider that we don't have snow, we don't have heat, we have lots of heat. But even with heat, we don't employ aircon. We have buildings with aircon, but we want to make sure that we use aircon that are green, no? That's part of the transition. But at the same time, we use the passive cooling system, where windows are placed strategically in a building to draw air in and to put the hot air out. Okay. And then for energy, in fact, if you go to our temple lighting and all our chapels here in the Philippines, all our lights are now LED. Because we want to make sure we save energy and get lower cost for the church properties. Another is we almost have used solar energy in all of our buildings. And if you look at gardening, because if you look at our chapels, there are always many plants. We use proper water irrigation. So in our building operations. For our members, we encourage them that for every activity, we reduce the use of single-use plastics like styrofoam, or plastic wares, because it does not help at all. And for our community projects, we have collaborated with the community on several key projects, including mangrove planting that contributes to coastal protection and habitat restoration, coastal cleanups to remove trash and debris, and tree planting to improve air quality, enhance biodiversity. I forgot the name. She was an environmentalist from ABS-CBN, and she was our DNR secretary. Gina Lopez. We had plans before she passed away. We had plans before to go for the mud balls project to make sure that we clean our rivers. But unfortunately, she died, and there was nobody else that was more aggressive in cleaning the rivers, except for some politicians, that put on a show. But one of the projects we were looking at during that time was mud balls. So we're hoping that there's an advocate there we could really work with to continue this project.
Alright. Thank you so much, no? At napakarami po nating mga tidbits actually. We use LED lights, no? Yung ating cooling system. Thank you so much for that sharing, Miss Heidi. Reverend Era?
Actually, we can never be an effective educator if we cannot walk our talk. So as an educator, I started to practice literally the 3 R's. Reduce, reuse, and recycle until now, more than 2 decades. Um, I remember one time that there was something shared in our forum. Yung maligo ka, may batya, ipone, nakasahod, at nakalibyan. Kaya in our bathroom, in our CR, we don't use flush. Tapo kami. And I've been doing that for 2 decades. And yung paghugas, yung badlaw, nakasahod yan for the plants. So I did that. And now it is becoming a habit. Parang nasasayangan ako sa tubig na hindi lansing. Sa paglaba, lahat. Kaya may mga batya, may mga balde. Well, my kids is saying, I want to go in. Ano ba yun? Okay, it's individual. I'm talking about individual. I went through participating tree planting, but there's some problem. It was mentioned by Bishop Nina. Na we are not sure that the seedlings we plant will grow. That there's some limitation to the tree planting program. But you know, this is for the Episcopal Church in Baguio. Before they will receive the sacrament of marriage, the couple must, it's a requirement to plant a tree and make it sure that the trees, the seedlings will grow. So that's a good practice. I don't know if other churches are doing that. And because when we have we attended a conference of climate justice in Dhaka, one of the priests was sharing it. Wow, it's a good practice. And it is already instituted with the whole diocese. And the other dioceses of the Episcopal Church in the Philippines are borrowing it and now implementing it. But it's good practice. Well, hindi ka makasal kung hindi ka makapagtubo ng kahoy.
Kahoy, no?
Pero totoo yan, no? Kaya natutuwa ako, a good practice. Then one thing, as a priest, I was able to maximize the homilies, the reflection, Bible study, even the informal talks, especially the women of the church. Nagawa ko yun. No? I keep on educating them and emphasizing that we are stewards of God's creation. And we have to start from our own home, from our own individuals. That's why they are talking to me, ano ba yan, Rip? Recycle and recycle. No? But when we can do that regularly, mahabit mo na yan. Kaya madali na, hindi kayo magproblema. So, well, anyway, practice makes perfect. But those who do not want, and those who do not want to change their lifestyle, we cannot force. But we can continue to appeal. This is not for us, this is for the whole world, this is for planet Earth. But the limitation is not all of us can do it. Not all of us are practicing these little things that we can do. And if everybody will do, it's like a song. When 1 and 2 or 3 makes a million, we can make a difference. So yun, no? And then through interfaith and ecumenical endeavor and engagement, tuloy yan, continue. No? And last Wednesday, we have our ecumenical forum, Protecting Mother Earth as One Ecumenical Family, organized by the Manila Church People's Ecumenical Fellowship, Pastoral, Father Junior, Dr. Linda, and other here, in partnership with the Philippine Christian University. And I said, I said a while ago, that this advocacy conference is very timely, but we need more. If we have to talk regularly, monthly or weekly, in all avenues, in school, in home, even in the streets, or in the bus, wherever, if we can advocate, if we can teach people, I think we can make a difference. And the church, I'm sorry to say, as a priest, the church fails to educate its constituents. What it means to be a stewards of God's creation. And Dr. Lilian kanina sinabi niya, that's one of my favorite. And God pulled the man into the garden and said, keep till and keep it. And that is the missing link from the biblical narratives. Because our notion is to dominate, dominion over all things, dominate over God's garden. And that is where we fail. And I hope re-education, re-awareness, reclaiming the biblical message of caring, loving, and protecting Mother Earth, our only home, God's gift to the humanity, must be done. Because we are, the clock is ticking. It's 45, it's quarter to 12. The current situation is quarter to 12 now.
We're nearing 12 o'clock.
Emergency.
Yes,
For those
emergency conditions. Okay.
Ito pa nanakot ha, but it is the truth.
All right. Thank you very much, Reverend Era. With her sharing, we see the importance of education really in our advocacies and our mission. Informal, pwedeng sa bus, sa street, formal setting like this, no, conferences like this in the classroom. Maraming salamat po. And I remember Spider-Man sa sinabi niyo, no, na there's a disconnect dun sa biblical story natin na cultivate the garden. Because ang tingin natin, we dominate, there's power. But sabi nga ni Spider-Man, kung alam po natin yon, with great power comes great responsibility. Salamat po. Yes po, Pastor.
While I was in Cotabato, we could promote the planting of trees in the farms of the people, because many people there have farms, small, big, and super big. And of course, we continue to plant trees in our little farm. But you know, a few hectares of trees planted would not be enough. And so I was going to go into convincing the government or the rich people there to buy a few more areas there in the mountains to ensure that the trees are not cut and that the trees are preserved so that the forest cover can keep the water there. Now, because we moved to Manila and I have been assigned to a local church, what we have done with our local church is to encourage them to plant whatever plants, especially vegetables, because the farms in the houses of our people there have very little land, you know. So they can plant whatever things they can, but usually vegetable. And we have a Green Towns project that's still covering the earth with green things. Now, Professor Dr. Reverend Era was saying that we had a conference last Tuesday, protecting Mother Earth as one ecumenical family. Our intention is to get as many local churches as there are to encourage their people to plant trees. And if we can make this a nationwide project, so many of the churches that are involved in the Manila Church People Ecumenical Fellowship, if we can get this to spread all over the country, then we would have as many local churches that would be involved in tree planting. And that would cascade, and you know, that would promote greening in the entire country. But I think we can get legislation. On next week, we intend to visit Senator Lauren Legarda, who was supposed to be our speaker last Tuesday, but because of the budget hearings, he has to preside over a budget meeting. We intend to see her to find out if there is a way we can cooperate with the government and the churches and the government to cooperate to really get the people to plant trees. And not only that, to prevent illegal mining, illegal logging, as well as all these nefarious activities of big business to stop. Because as was said earlier, you know, these little things that we do, this planting, greening our yards, etc., our small farms, that would not be enough if you keep on cutting the trees in the forests. So, this morning there was mentioned by Father Seb that he went into the mountains to meet with the MNLF, and that now the trees, the forest that you visited is already denuded. You know, this is going on in Mindanao. I understand the rebels used to protect these forests, but now that the rebels are already at peace with the government, I think the trees are already being cut by these illegal loggers. And you know, you hear the big names in Manila who are owners of big logging plantations in Mindanao. So my dear friends, that's why I say, if we do not take care, if we do not ensure that the big businesses are prevented from denuding our forests, from illegally mining, you know, all this, getting the soil, yung tawag nun, yung topsoil, wala talagang mangyayari sa atin. I am from Surigao and I used to travel. Mining, at hindi lang yun, yung black earth na tinatawag nila, ini-import sa China, ini-scrape. May mga isla po doon sa Mindanao na wala ng tao, wala ng green. Na ano naupaw na kung sa salita pa namin.
Nakalbo
na yung lupa doon. Yun po ang nangyayari sa... Kaya po, hanggat hindi tumitigil itong mga project nating medyo magkakaproblema po tayo. So, yun po ang aking concern. As a church person, I would like to cooperate with Reverend Era, Padre Junicio, Dr. Bong Baybado. We are all together in the Uni-Harmony Partners as well as in the Manila Church People Ecumenical Fellowship. We'd like to work together with all the churches so that these things can be done by everyone with the help of the government, you know, really getting very strong, like Gina used to do. But of course, you know what happened to Gina. Hindi na confirmed. This is the problem. You can also be killed, you know. Some environmentalists have been killed. So anyway, I stop there because I get a warrant of arrest.
Thank you so much.
Thank
no?
you.
Of course, if we have this love for the environment, talagang passionate tayo talagang magsasalita. Thank you. Interfaith effort is really an inspiration. We hope and pray to have more people to commit to act. Alright. Maraming salamat po, Pastor. Yes, Ma'am Junie.
Pastor spoke about the saving the forest here in the city with Dr. Norman Garcia and Dr. B. Garcia. I also learned the advocacy, the efforts to save also the urban trees. There was a time in the history of Manila, not so long ago, wherein the trees along Lacson was threatened, but there were efforts by also in Katipunan. Okay, there were many efforts from the universities, people along Katipunan, Miriam College, Ateneo, and UP. And here in UST, we have Dr. Norman Garcia, and he also involved his students in the study, in the research, and Dr. Rosario Virginia Garcia. So we're lucky that in the University of Santo Tomas, we have these professors, no? And also in the College of Science, we have these professors and deans, Dean Canapi, and the present deans also, and the past deans, wherein they are focusing on efforts, no? To also in the university and outside the university to really show environmental concern and protection. And from that on, from the preserving the trees along Lacson, and also it extended also in preserving the effort to preserve trees in Baguio City, the pine trees in Baguio City. Okay, so now for the Laudato Si movement, Philippines, no, this is a movement wherein Catholics come together in order, first of all, the goals is also there are three goals. First, in its framework, it will be ecological conversion. The spiritual dimension has to be addressed. It's been mentioned by many of our speakers, and I heard it also mentioned by Dr. Dean Season. And after the ecological conversion within, the next will be the lifestyle. There must be a change of lifestyle, and it has to be evident in action. And as Reverend mentioned about practice makes perfect, maybe it should not discourage us, like Father Seb mentioned, not to lose courage when you see that there are those who are still to live Laudato Si, the teachings of Laudato Si. And we keep on encouraging one another, inspiring one another, and reminding each other as brothers and sisters, in terms of fraternal correction or in terms of all our efforts, so that we will, as Reverend also mentioned, walk our talk, to walk our talk. So in Laudato Si, after the ecological conversion, it should be, it will lead us also in the movement. It helps us to also move from the interior to the exterior, showing it in action, in practice. But it's not enough. There has to be a mobilization and advocacy. That is why it's unique here in the Philippines, because Laudato Si movement Pilipinas is ecumenical too. No, it's not just purely Catholics that gather together every Friday, 3 p.m. or when there's we will be planning for the celebration of the season of creation, which is every October, every September 1 to October 4 in other parts of the country, but here in the Philippines, it's extended from September 1 to the second Sunday of October, which is Indigenous Peoples Sunday. And the season of creation celebration, there are many conferences, there are many mobilizations, and right now, today, there's a talk at Mary Hill School of Theology on the fossil fuel non-proliferation treaty, which is also part of the talk of, in terms of addressing the climate emergency, in terms of divesting. Okay? So there's a group wherein internationally, when they have this program in order to address the divestment, and there are many countries involved here, and the program is really very systematic, and there's a plan in order that the fossil fuel non-proliferation treaty will push through. Okay? And there was a question with regard to the Philippines, in terms of transportation. That's part also of the plan, especially also addressing the blockers, like the countries that are producing the fossil fuels, the petroleum. Okay? So this is what Laudato Si movement Pilipinas and Laudato Si movement, all over the world are doing, celebrating the Laudato Si week, the season of creation, and then praying and dialoguing together and supporting one another in all our advocacies. Like for example, the Manila Bay Reclamation, the Laudato Si movement, Pilipinas and all its partners supported that advocacy and many other advocacies. And especially now, let me add, there's a new one also, not that new, but it's also a move. It's not just Catholic, but it's ecumenical, a move that to celebrate not only the season of creation, or September 1 is a day of prayer for creation, but also to have a feast of creation. If the first day of creation, is, we know that since when we know about Genesis, the first day of creation, but we could be to complete the Christological celebration in the liturgy, because we are celebrating Christmas, we're celebrating also resurrection of Jesus, we're celebrating Pentecost, no, but we're not celebrating a feast of creation. And Laudato Si movement is pushing for that, with the ecumenical community.
All right. Thank you, Ma'am Julie, for sharing to us these beautiful programs. The Season of Creation program, it's beautiful to know that it starts on September 1, tama? And it extends up to the Indigenous People Sunday, trying to tell us that really bumabalik tayo, doon sa kalikasan ang tahanan nating lahat, trying to understand how our indigenous peoples uphold cultural identity, preserve cultural memory, ang dami nating puno, and inspire future generations. Maraming salamat po. And in the interest of time, we come to the last question, perhaps, the call to action from each one. Mga final remarks po from our esteemed panelists, given the pressing challenges that our planet face, or that our planet is facing right now, Mother Earth is facing right now, what specific call to action would you like to express to this assembly, perhaps, and invite everyone to commit and recommit in this mission and advocacy? Anyone po? Few words, final words. Yes, Miss Sonia, sige po.
Sige. Yung sinabi ko kanina, walang aksaya. No? And then you walk our talk. Especially now with the plastic pollution. Lahat tayo, sabi nga in 2050, if you do business as usual, there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish. So, Mother Earth walks our talk. Ito nga, daladala ko eh. I bring my cutleries kasi I don't use plastic cutleries kasi minsan biglang may meeting and then may Jollibee. So I have my own cutleries. I have my straw, meron pa itong chopstick. And this is my cutlery. And we always bring our water bottle. Sa Mother Earth po sa amin, we are not allowed to buy bottled water. We bring our water bottle. So yun, like sa walang aksaya, lalo na sa food waste now because of the problem of methane. So, we just get what we can consume. Like sa buffet, wag takaw mata.
Yeah, takaw tingin.
Takaw, get lang what you can consume and consume everything if it's food. Kasi hindi naman po nagko-composting. I like the composting kanina. We have the organics fair. Madaming techniques ng composting po ang we teach the audience many techniques of composting. Simple lang ang composting, no? So we need also nga to have the topsoil again. Wala na daw tayong sense of humus. Wala na yung humus ng soil. So, we have to do composting. Yun po ang natin doon sa program. If you can compost, you segregate na kaagad food waste, compose it in the backyard, and you have vegetable garden.
Thank you so much po for that inspiration. Pakitaas nga po ang inyong mga tumbler kung kayo'y may dala-dala din. Ayan. Maraming salamat po. Okay. Pakilabas po yung cutlery ng Jollibee at McDo. Alright, thank you so much po. Yes, Pastor, final words po.
When I was coordinator for human rights of the United Church of Christ in the Philippines back in the 80s, 70s, late 70s, 80s, I said that the struggle for human rights is inextricably linked with the continuing struggle to transform society. I say, and I would rephrase that now, and I would say that the struggle for sustainable peace, for integral ecology, for an environment that is going to be best for the Earth's people, for Mother Earth is inextricably linked with the continuing struggle to transform the structures of society, meaning structures that are not controlled by the few over against the welfare of the many, structures that are just, participative, structures that are not, as I said, controlled by the very few, but instead would benefit or redound to the benefit of the many. So it's a continuing struggle, my friends. It doesn't end. And when I go, and I suppose that I'll be going in the next few years, 10 years maybe, 15, I hope. Continue yan. Hindi tumitigil ang ating pakikibaka para sa pagbabago ng ating lipunan. Sapagkat diyan lamang sa pagbabago ng ating lipunan, tayo magkaroon ng isang makabuluhang lipunan at mapayapa at maganda para sa lahat ng tao. Yun po, marami pong salamat.
Maraming salamat po. Just sustainable, peaceful society. Yes, Miss Judy?
Actually, I compose poetry. I think it's 2017, and this is an excerpt. Okay, so let me read this. This is just an excerpt of that long poetry that I composed. It's in Filipino. Puno, dahil sa puno, bawas ang global warming. Puno kasi ang naglilinis sa ating maduming hangin. Kaya sabi ng Santo Papa, papel ay ating tipirin, huwag itong bastang luhutin. Mga papel ay mula sa puno, huwag nating aksayahin. Ugaling tapon na lang ng tapon, dapat nating baguhin. Sa Laudato Si, ito ay kanyang binigyang pansin. Ika nga ni Pope, mentalidad na go away should now go away. At kung tayo pro-life, pro-environment, dapat kasama sa ating way. Kung talagang walk for life ang ating advocacy, di ba ang pangangalaga sa environment na sa creation story? What's happening to our beautiful land? Ayon sa mga obispo, ang pinakasakulang issue ng pagbabanta sa buhay. Kung ang nag-iisang nating mundo, kanyang lupa, hangin, dagat, bundok ay dinadala natin sa hukay. Dahil kapag ang environment ang pinatay, lahat ng tao nasa tiyan pa ni nanay ay damay. Kapag environment ang sinisira, mga kapatid nating mahihirap ang unang kawawa.
Thank you so much. For the sake of our international friends, meron pa ba tayo? This is an advocacy poem, no? Advocacy poetry. Powerful, no? Creative, malikhain, get rid of throwaway culture with plant trees. Siguro po pwede bang ibalik po? At sabay-sabay po natin basahin. No, kaya po? Alright. Yes, Ma'am Junie, can you lead us po? 5, 4, 3, go. Warming. Puno kasi ang naglilinis sa ating maduming hangin. Kaya sabi ng Santo Papa, papel ay ating tipirin. Huwag itong basta lukutin. Mga papel ay mula sa puno, huwag natin aksayahin. Ugaling tapon na lang ng tapon, dapat lang baguhin. Sa Laudato Si, ito ay kanyang binigyang pansin. Ika nga ni Pope, mentalidad na throw away, should now go away. At kung tayo ay pro-life, pro-environment, dapat kasama sa ating way. Kung talagang walk for life ang ating advocacy, di ba nga pangangalaga sa environment, nasa creation story? What's happening to our beautiful land? Ayon sa mga obispo, ang pinakasukdulang isyu ng pagbabanta sa buhay, kung ang nag-iisa nating mundo, kanyang lupa, hangin, dagat, bundok ay dinadala natin sa hukay. Dahil kapag environment ang pinapatay, lahat ng tao, kahit nasa tiyan pa ni nanay, ay damay. Kapag environment ang sinisira, mga kapatid nating mahihirap ang unang kawawa. Thank you so much. Kanina, I remember that young student, no, tinatanong anong pwedeng magawa. Yeah, we can use theater, utilize arts, no? Very powerful. Salamat po. Miss Heidi.
So nag-agree kami ni Reverend Ira and speak before, age before beauty.
Okay.
Okay, so growing up in the church as a youth, meron kaming youth conference every year. And every youth conference, meron kaming tree planting. So that really stayed with me, that experience struck with me, kasi every year we go to the same mountain and I see my tree growing. And so because of this feeling, when I was first year in college, I created actually an organization. It's called SAFE, Student Advocates for Fundamental Environmentalism. Because for me, having that experience as a young person planting a tree and seeing that tree grow brought me so much joy. And for every tree, it means life. So every tree that you plant, it means life because it's a home to animals. It's the source of the fruit that we enjoy. And it's also the source of the oxygen that helps us to live. So when I joined 12 years ago dito sa Manila in the Church Communication Department, and we were able to oversee the National Day of Service of members from Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, I was really overjoyed to see tree planting, mangrove planting, and coastal cleanups that celebrated every April, no? Because April 22 is World Earth Day. So every year yun, I think for the last 30 years, na-stop lang siya because of the pandemic, because people were not able to gather, we were not allowed to gather together. And one item that also is important to me is that when I became part of Uniharmony Partners Manila, that desire to take care more of the environment was rekindled, particularly si Dr. Lillian Season. I think the first World Interfaith Harmony Week event that we have was about the environment. And that was around 10 years ago. And after that, Dr. Season went to our Relief Society, Samahang Damayan. It's a group of women that strives to do good, no? That strives to provide relief. And with Dr. Season's environmental education to our members, to our women, it really grew because everything starts with education. And so my advocacy now, being with all our partners and advocates here, is number one, go back to tree planting because tree planting is life. And number two, strive for more environment.
Thank you so much. And you started, and you were first year college, no? So, in whatever capacity we have, we may start small, hindi kailangan grand lahat. Maraming salamat po. Yes, Reverend Era, kayo ang panghuling, all right.
Before I say my concluding remarks, just three things. Una, the indigenous people affirm and continue preaching what they believe. No one owns the land owns us. Yun ang hindi natin na-embrace. Lalo na mga Christian believers tayo. Kaya sabi ko tuloy, the indigenous peoples are more biblically correct and they're able to live that. It's a challenge for us. Second, re-education, reclaiming of our roles and responsibility as stewards, as witness to care and protect Mother Earth means changing our lifestyle. Mahirap, but we have to start slowly, and then we can do that. Change lifestyle. If what we did, we think is not good for the environment, then stop. I appeal, let's pray that we can do that. Third, we have different levels of our environmental advocacy. Hindi pa tayo nagkakaisa. In fact, we're not yet one together to say, no, stop, repeal Mining Act of 1995. we are not still united to say, stop large-scale mining that deplete Mother Earth. We are not still united. When, even we do some good works and efforts to help Mother Earth, as long and unless you are not united, we cannot effect change. And I'm praying, people here attending this conference, be aware, reclaim our roles and responsibility, that we are witnesses and caretakers, stewards of God's creation. That is our calling, I hope. And my calling. I use, lately, part siguro sa magiging senior citizen. I'm 60 this year. I'm happy to announce you that I'm already senior citizen.
20%.
O, 80 ka na.
80 raw po si Miss Sonia, 60, so mga age reveal na ito.
I began to reflect some songs. Alam ko, marami sa inyong marunong kumanta ng Impossible Dream.
Also, we sing together.
We look,
May request. Ito po, so okay.
Sino po, can you sign? And then there is a message there. Or else I can read
Alam po ba natin yun?
Ano naman maiba tayo, sige.
Alam po ba natin yun? To dream the impossible dream?
Open your Google.
Let's have, where is Dr. Sawit? Kaya approach the microphone po. Where is Miss Mariel Blanza?
Andy
And
Williams.
Sir Lien Tadeo, please approach the microphone with us. Yes.
Andy Williams have something to say to us.
Okay.
So,
Yes, lead us po, Miss Mariel, Sir Lien.
Okay po?
Few lines lang po naman, no?
Yeah,
Few
yeah.
lines lang. All together. Na-inspire sa poetry, ngayon naman kanta tayo. Alright, and our MC mamaya sasayaw.
Babasahin ko na lang.
Babasahin na lang. Sige po, pastor daw po. Sige ko, pastor.
To dream the impossible dream, to fly the unbeatable fall, to bear the unbearable sorrow, to run and go, to
right and right of the
right of the wrong,
love dear Jesus,
from afar,
to try when your arms
to
are
try when your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable star. This is my quest, to follow the star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to be willing to give when there's no more to give, to be willing to die so that honor and justice may live. And I know if I'll only be true to this glorious quest, that my heart will be peaceful and calm when I'm laid to my rest, and the world will be better for this, that one man, scorned and covered with scars, still strove with his last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable star.
Thank you very much. Si pastor pala.
There's part to fight for the right without question or pose, to be willing to march into hell for a heavenly cause. This is better for them. You see? Ngayon lang ba niyo na-realize yan? And there are songs. Michael Jackson's Earth Song.
Kakanta pa po ba tayo ulit?
I'm just saying,
Okay.
there are some songs that can give us inspiration. And I know this can give us because this is for the Mother Earth, and we are the stewards of God's creation.
Yay! Okay, few words. All right, Opo.
Michael Jackson's continue to ask us to sing, heal the world. Heal the world. Heal the world. Heal the world. We believe justly and peacefully in coexistence with God's whole creation and continue to hold on together, and our dreams will come true. Come, arise, brothers and sisters, children of God. Together we pray, a prayer with action. Be counted and be accountable. This is our way of saying thank you to our Creator God for the gift of Mother Earth to all humanity. Amen.
Maraming salamat po. Ayan. Palakpakan po natin muli ang ating panelists. No? So, even if the dream is impossible, even if there's intergenerational issue, no? Ang pinakanta ko actually, sabi ko, Sir Miss Mariel, Sir Lian, kaya pala hindi tumatayo mga bata pa po. Si Pastor pala ang makakakanta. Okay. Alright. You see, but we stand in a common ground and we are in our common home. So together, we dream, hope, and act, and commit to act today and years beyond. Maraming salamat po. At this point, we would like to express our gratitude to our panelists by giving them our certificate of appreciation. May I call on Reverend Father Ermito de Sagon, Associate Professor Alan Basas, PhD, and Professor Joel Sagot, PhD, to hand in our certificate to our dear panelists. Allow me to read the citation. The University of Santo Tomas Institute of Religion, UST Center for Theology, Religious Studies and Ethics, UST Simbahayan, Silsila Dialogue Movement, Dialogue with Creation, Uni-Harmony Partners and Religious Educators Association of the Philippines award the Certificate of Appreciation panelists in acknowledgement for their invaluable contribution as panel discussants on integral ecology and education during the Advocacy Conference in celebration of the 2024 UN International Day of Peace with the theme, Together we Dream, Hope and Act, Educating Toward Dialogue with Creation and Peacebuilding, held on September 20, 2024 at the George S.K.T. Function Hall, 4th floor, Buenaventura Garcia Paredes, OP Building, University of Santa Tomas, Manila. Signed, Assistant Professor Froilan A. Alipaw, Professor Joel C. Sagot, Father Armito de Sagot, Reverend Father Pablo Idiong of the Order of Preachers.
No. I want the ready-made. Then, no. Actually, I can do it. But then, I guess, just in case you have it, then you can immediately use it.
Okay. Maybe you give me your email.
Okay.
Father, thank you.
Sa muli po, maraming salamat po.
Good.
Palakpakan natin si
Good. Good.
Just give me your email address.
Okay.
So I get it. Father looking for the poster for the 3 F's. Zero SER.
That's my name. Because I lived in China, so I was undercover.
We now move to a significant and meaningful moment in this conference, the reading of our statement of commitment, the fruit of our collective, collaborative effort. Thank you so much for your gracious presence and active participation that contributed to the crafting of this statement. We hope that this statement will inspire all of us to commit and recommit in dreaming together, hoping together, and acting together towards a sustainable, peaceful environment. Allow me at this point to read aloud our conference statement on behalf of all of us.
So that's why it's zero.
Dialogue with Creation Partners Week, commitment. statement. We, the participants of this advocacy conference from various religious communities, faith-based organizations, and schools and universities have come together to celebrate the 2024 UN International Day of Peace with the theme, Together we Dream, Hope, and Act, educating toward Santo Tomas, Manila on September 20, 2024. We are deeply aware that a climate catalysm is looming, and every person, country, and continent will be impacted in some shape or form by climate change. Hence, we must urgently combat climate change and its impacts. We call on religious communities, based on their respective faith traditions, practices, and teachings, to take responsibility for caring for and nurturing Mother Earth. Through education, we can inspire a culture of dialogue, understanding, and active participation in caring for a common home. We call on schools and universities to be at the forefront of fostering dialogue with creation and promoting ecological literacy to nurture a generation capable of addressing global issues with compassion and responsibility. We call on educators to cultivate deep awareness of environmental challenges and peace building by empowering individuals with knowledge, values, and skills essential for sustainable action. We commit to and support the establishment of the Dialogue with Creation Partners Week in the first week of October, which highlights the promotion of ecology as an essential and most fundamental aspect in celebrating the World Interfaith Harmony Week. The World Interfaith Harmony Week, first proposed by King Abdul II of Jordan and adopted by the UN General Assembly in 2010, celebrates the unity of the various religious communities in enhancing mutual understanding, harmony, and cooperation among people through interreligious dialogue. The interfaith and ecumenical community, alongside educational institutions, is committed to organizing a series of a week to celebrate the beauty of Mother Earth and the need to protect and care for our common home through the dynamics of dialogue with creation. The Dialogue with Creation Partners commits to the following actions, emphasizing the role of education. To raise awareness about the emergency condition of Mother Earth through educational initiatives that encourage critical thinking and ecological responsibility. To organize activities as expressions of solidarity and dialogue with creation, engaging schools and universities in collaborative projects for environmental advocacy. To foster friendship and advance common action between and among interfaith communities and educational institutions for caring for a common home, encouraging educational partnerships that bridge faith and environmental stewardship. In closing, our gathering today has rekindled our shared dream of a peaceful and harmonious society to share with a broader community towards nation building. This dream inspires us to take on the prophetic attitude to concretely participate in and contribute to the annual celebration every first week of October, the Dialogue with Creation Partners Week, with education as a vital tool for promoting dialogue and peace building. And so to concretize this statement of commitment, we invite everyone to the celebration of the Interfaith Ecumenical Common Action opening forum for the Dialogue with Creation Partners Week on October 1, 2024 at 9:30 to 1 p.m. at the Christ the King Mission Seminary at E. Rodriguez Avenue, Quezon City. Magkita-kita po sana tayo muli. Hanggang sa muli. Maraming salamat.
Grabe to si Bo.
Thank you, Professor Bagaypo, for excellently moderating this afternoon's panel discussion and for reading to us our conference statement. Let me just make a quick announcement at this point. Through the initiative of a colleague in the Institute of Religion, there's a 30-minute UST walking tour. Those who are interested, of course, may assemble at the registration area at the back of this hall. Near the registration area. Please assemble right after the PM snacks. So again, yung kung gustong makilahok dun sa UST walking tour, it's a 30-minute walking tour. Pwede po tayo magtipon-tipon.
I just saw that.
Yes, through the initiative of our dear friends for today. Thank you.
So actually, you just put.
So as we near the end of our program, it is time to reflect on the wisdom and inspiration
will be tree planting, no? There in our there in Santa Rosa. Little facts only about what we do in the environment. At this let me now give you my closing remarks. I have two versions, no? One long one and one short one. And since you announced that you're going to, those who want to have a walking tour, we might just as well make it very short. First, we thank all the people and all the offices that help us make this a reality. Secondly, I would like to close this by referring to it in the manner of our Catholic liturgical practice. You see, every time we celebrate the Eucharist, the Mass, at the end of the Mass, the way to end it is to say, ite, or go, the Mass is ended. Well, that is what I will now say, in short, because I don't want long one. Go, the conference, the reflections has ended. Go, first, make peace with yourself, with your family, with your community, and with the whole of creation. So I suppose when you go home, be at peace, no? And go plant a tree. I think we will try to make this the requirement for Advocacy Conference 25, no? That when you register, how many trees did you plant? If you cannot answer, you will not be included in our conference. Good afternoon. Thank you very much.
Maraming salamat, Founder. The short and sweet, salamat po. Ladies and gentlemen, before we end, we have something to share.
Parang
Our
announcer
technical
yun,
committee prepared a same-day edit video capturing the
Father,
highlights of
parang
today's
announcer yun,
conference. So it's an opportunity to take a look back at the moments of inspiration, discussion, and dialogue that unfolded throughout the day. Let's now direct our attention, please, to the screen as we present the same-day edit video.
We are the dreamers, we make it happen. Guess we believe it.
customers ang ginamit na background music.
We are the
Hindi
dreamers.
nasali no, yung pagkanta natin ng Impossible Dream. Dahil tapos na yung same day edit video na that would have been a fitting closing. But thank you very much, Tech Team, for producing that for all of us. Salamat po. Okay, so we shall now have our group photo. Para meron po tayong souvenir photo. The dynamics, yes sir, si Sir Chester po ang kukuha ng photo. Inaanyahan po namin lahat to move to the center, please. Stay on your seats lang po, those who are already in the center. Those on the sides and at the back, can you please come closer so that we are all inside the frame. Pasok po dapat tayo sa frame. So, lipat lang po tayo sa may bandang gitna. Especially those at the back and on the sides. Those in the center, please stay where you are seated. You are seated strategically. Father, please come up front. Or Sir Alan, Sir Joel, please come up here po. Join our guests, please, in front. Thank you very much. Everybody, please. Let's immortalize this very inspiring conference by way of. Let us know, Sir Chester, if you still need to move. Everyone, please. Those here on the sidewalk, if you may please move some more, closer to the center.
Panoramic.
One, two, three.
Okay.
Ayaw po. Bakit po?
For the environment.
2, 3.
Okay.
Before we officially conclude, we kindly ask all our participants to please accomplish the evaluation form so that you help us improve our future events. The evaluation link, a QR code to the evaluation link will be projected on screen. It is now projected on screen. If you want to receive an e-certificate emailed to you, please accomplish the evaluation form. So please take the Google form.
Sige, Google form.
Please accomplish that.
Ayan, scan me.
You will receive
Sige.
an e-certificate emailed to you upon completion and submission of the evaluation form. Accomplish po natin para makatanggap po tayo ng e-certificate for this conference. So as we wrap up,
Gayahin kita. Oh my. So, bakit nauna ako dito? Siguro titingin lang. Yan o, ito pala yung ano natin. Snacks.
really that, so sad. You know, there's a dog form right now. So apparently, we won't be able to proceed with the campus walking tour. Paulan po. Paulan po, wala
There are
tayong
still
free
books
tour.
like this.
Alright, so
I
again,
think so, there.
as we wrap up,
in the-
we'd like to thank
okay,
everyone. Salamat po
No, because if there are extra for tomorrow, we bring.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Father.
We can ask from them. No?
Okay, because I give everything to them. So very good.
Yeah.
Finally, we've been able to come.
Sorry, I couldn't come earlier.
You know him.
Yeah, from Silsila, no?
He was a summer course.
What time did you arrive? You said you were late.
The university hymn to
Good to see
officially
you.
close this conference.
Pestisa, etc. Maybe alternative.
We do something, yes.
Yeah.
We cannot do everything.
A hermitage in Kidapawan, they have tree, they use tree growing. The tree, you have to give them, and they will take care of it.
In the past, my father, we can ask promoting agriculture.
Sana.
They are singing.
It's good to see you're in good health.
Dubai.
This was sponsored by Peacebuilding.
No, although I was the one who in some way is fine, but was organizing this way because the idea to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Silsila,
I see.
but they put in this way more complete, no?
Very good.
Yes.
Taga Sambanga ba kayo? Or,
Taga-ipil.
Ipil? Oo. Sa Zamboanga, di ba?
Sumuanga, Sibugay. Ikaw?
Taga Zamboanga, Sibugay yun.
Oh, very good.
Yung nanalo ng Ramon
Members of the Institute of Religion faculty members, let's have our group photo as well. Please, IR faculty, dito po tayo sa unahan. Let's have our group photo right now. Thank you po. IR, all IR faculty members, please proceed here. Po, IR, let's collect our friends, our